And welcome, everybody. How is everybody doing this evening? This is Scott Owens with CampTara and the Southern La Miss Wild Camp Alliance Group. Welcome to the Southern Outdoor Show tonight. And let's see, do we have anyone? We are live now. Let's do an audio check. Can we get some thumbs up? Someone let me know if you're out there. I'm gonna wait just a little bit, see if people are on. And tonight's show is going to be, last week we kind of talked about the disconnect between folks wanting to go wild camping here in the South and really not going. And we touched on some of those reasons why. And this week we are going to discuss what is a wild camp service report and understanding that report. And then we'll have just some basic Q&A about that. Let's go to comments. No one is out there yet. Wait a few more minutes. It says we have 4 people watching. Can someone send me a text to let me know that we are live and that the audio is streaming? Technical difficulties, fans. Now there's 3. Let's see. All right, we have Outdoors with Sean. Hey, Scott, you're live on YouTube. Cool. Thanks, Sean. Can you give me a thumbs up? Is the audio, can you hear me? I was kind of jaded in the beginning there in the intro because my audio levels weren't working. Low testing. I'm going to get the hang of this live stream sometime. Going live is not my strong suit, but we do it. All's good. Thank you. Where's everybody from tonight? Sean, I think I know where you're at. We have Conan68. Says all's good. Outdoors with Sean. I tried to get it moved to Wednesday. It's just, I couldn't get it done. Thursdays are the best time for me. I pushed it back an hour though, from 8 o'clock to 9. So the Gulf Coast, that's right, Sean. Okay. Wow. Australia. Cool deal. We're just going to wait a few more minutes. Just tonight's beverage of choice is the old Coors Light. Not sure what anybody else is drinking. The cool thing is, even though I got work for tomorrow, I'm actually spending the day outdoors in a boat doing mapping work. So anytime you're not in the office, that's pretty cool. Facebook user, okay, Tangipahoa Parish. Thank you for being here. 9 is good on Thursdays. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's right after the Blackie show. Okay. Thanks for that. Also, any Facebook users, if you're a Facebook user, you're in the La Miss Wild Camp Alliance Facebook group. If you go to the featured posts, I have a post in there on how you can show your name and your photo icon. Just read those instructions. It's like a dumb privacy thing with Facebook. Like, you'll click on the link that I have there, and it'll guide you to allow StreamYard to use your name and your photo icon. That's all that is. If you wanted that, because by default, Facebook does not post your name or your icon. So once again, tonight's show is going to be about these the CampTara Wild Camp Service reports. I promise you, after tonight, we're going to get into a lot of different topics. I don't want y'all to think self-promotion. But what I have here, I think, is really cool. And in tonight's show, we're going to kind of show that off. And then to start it all out, let's ask that question. Okay, one of the major aspects to getting outdoors, whether you are hiking flat ground in the south, or you are mountain climbing Mount Everest, safety is one of the biggest concerns and variables that you should be taking into account, right? And there's many different facets of safety. So one of, if not the only one that I can think of, that's out there for safety, a tool of safety when you're backpacking, hiking, primitive camping, wild camping, are what's, I guess, taken off within the last 5 to 7 years, are these satellite communication devices. We've probably heard of the Garmin InReach and a few of the more. So we're just going to look at that real quick, and you'll see real quick the point that I'm trying to make here. So let's do a share. Let's share my screen. Let's see. Okay. So this is an article, Best Satellite Messengers of 2022 for emergency use or simply keeping you in touch while in the backcountry. We break down the top satellite messengers on the market. This is one from switchbacktravel.com. No affiliation there. I just went through a bunch of articles, and this was really good. So this is kind of like a guide, right, for these satellite communication devices. I was aware of like 3. I didn't know they had more of these. But what you will start seeing, Switchback Travel, okay, has ranked the Garmin InReach Mini best overall satellite messenger. Okay, look at the price. This is just for the unit alone. If y'all are interested in this article, I'll post it. But the points I'm wanting to make is $400 for the unit, and then Freedom Plan, you must, this one's good. Freedom Plan, you will run you almost $50, a $35 to $95 annual program fee plus a $14.95 monthly fee. Dear Lord. Even if you went out 10 times, would it still be worth that? Some people say yes. You can't put a price on safety. I get that. A close second. We're starting to go down. $120 or less. But it's usually $280. So they probably got this $120 from some sort of sale or something like that, right? Let's look at its. So there's a $25 activation fee for base level plans. The ultralight annual subscription, $833 per month. This is better. It's doable. Okay, but my point is, if you don't find it on sale, it's close to $300 with tax and shipping, plus the ultralight annual subscription. So I'm sure you don't get all the good stuff with the ultralight subscription for almost $10 a month. Then we move on the best payment plan option for occasional use. That would probably be like us, right? So you got the Bivy Stick satellite communicator coming in at $200 plus tax and shipping. Let's see. This is one of those subscription-based tiers that run on credits. So you purchase credits. Bivy Stick is $18 for 20 credits or $50 for unlimited. Bivy Stick's new $200 price down. So still, it's a subscription fee there. Best of the rest. The Zoleo satellite communicator, again, $200 plus tax and shipping. Let's see. Pretty impressive value. What's more, unlimited check-ins aren't included in the standard plan. They cost an extra $6 a month. Okay. And then the older Garmin InReach Explorer. It's a little older, but it's still packed and feature rich. So it's an InReach with a GPS on it. So that's $450. And then you still have the subscription like the InReach Mini for the SOS service and the satellite communication text messaging. We have the Spot X for $250. This is more of a kind of a commercial application that surveyors may use. Let's see. Additional subscription required, all for $100 less than the Mini. So we've still got a pretty hefty Mini. We have the Spot Gen 4 for almost $200. I mean, you see where I'm going with this, right? High Ground Sat Pack, $400. 37 cents per message. Some of these communicators I don't know about, but it's a pretty good article to read if you've got the coin to chuck out for it, okay? Not everybody has $200 to $400 to fork out on the unit, right? And the subscription costs, which just keep going and going, even though you're not actually going, right? There's not one of them that really, where I say, you know what? Sure, we want something affordable. The technology, cutting-edge technology is going to be pricey, but man, they've been out a long time. I can understand if, like, maybe you're a YouTube influencer, you're doing this every weekend for a living, you are a wildlife photographer, a climber, someone who makes their living outdoors in remote places, right? For long periods of time. This makes sense. But to the everyday weekend warriors, right? It's out of reach. It's overkill, right? So in comes something that I came up with. I learned how to do this. Pacing and compass was learned back when I worked for the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry, right? We cruised timber. We had to learn how to pace and use a forestry chain, and use our compasses. We used a two-man team to have a starting point and an end point, which for the forestry work we did was a plot center of a U.S. Forest Service forestry plot. And then at that plot center, there were 4 smaller radiuses that we measured all the tree species within those 4 radiuses. Okay, so I learned early on about this sort of thing, and then the career path after that, getting into the geospatial sciences. I am a geospatial analyst for a local engineering architectural firm doing geospatial GIS and mapping work, and that's what I've done for 20 years, right? So I've learned a thing or two about aerial photography, orthophotography, and remote sensing work, especially aerial photography interpretation. And this is where I learned a lot of what's about to come out. So in finding my turkey hunting spots, in finding my wild camp spots, I've used this method myself and thought to myself, okay, I started this La Miss Wild Camp Alliance group. I took this survey where I'm asking people, like, it seems like they're interested and they tried it once or they've heard about it, but why aren't we doing it here in the South, right? It's out west, it's in the Northeast, it's over in Europe, it's huge. And I don't think it's because people really don't want to. A lot of what I got, as I stated on my last show, was that folks would say, not enough places to go, no sites. Well, think about it. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm drinking my brew and I got indigestion, excuse me. So if you think about that, wild camping, you don't want to know where the spots are. If you know where the spots are, everybody's going to go to them. Wild camping, okay? So it's kind of like not sharing your favorite fishing hole with your buddies because it's an awesome place to catch fish, right? Not to mention, wild camping is just that. Getting out away even further than your RV campgrounds, your primitive car camping, typical cement rock pad for your tent with your neighbor right next door or right across the street. And really getting primitive and going to find those spots. And I guess you could argue that you could literally walk out into any national forest and just wild camp. And that's true. And that is legal and lawful. But, you know, you might be in the middle of a briar patch, or you're in some of the thickest loblolly pine plantation that they haven't burned in over 20 years, and the undergrowth, there's no flat spot to put your tent. The undergrowth is like head height. So then it becomes, and that's what we see in the South, then it becomes a challenge of, well, I want to find a spot that is not only aesthetically awesome to look at, right? But the understory is fairly open and clean with a water source nearby, preferably a mile or less from my parking spot. And those were some of the criteria in which I used to come up with this wild camp service report to share with folks to help them get out there, because this will take the place of an expensive satellite communication device in terms of safety. That's one aspect of this report. The other aspect of the report is sharing with you my methods of you going out and finding a wild camp, and or me sharing with you some of my vetted hotspots that I go to myself that have good parking spots, or clean and open undergrowth, not too far of a walk, totally and completely solitary. So let's get into the Wild Camp Report real quick. And then hey, Sci-Fi, what's up? Then we will kind of get into some questions and y'all's thoughts, okay? We have 6 people in here. I appreciate the 6 people that are here. We'll usually get a bunch on the replay. So let's share the screen. Let's go ahead and go full screen. Okay. And let's turn off this banner. So what you're looking at here is, I think, a 26-page report, front and back though. So it's right around 12 pages. Fairly thin to take with you. It's roughly, loose leaf paper size. It's letter format, 8.5 inch by 11. And this is just the cover here. If you would order a tier 1 or a tier 2, it would state it here. They got some information at the bottom. This is just some information about what CampTara is, the advising services for outdoor self-reliant recreation. You can read about that once I send these out. The report is divided up into 8 sections. So we have section 1, which is your state, local, wild camp information overview. 2 has your driving directions to your wild camp parking spot. Section 3 is the wild camp site specific information. So that's going to be like everything from where you park, where you're going to start your hike into the wild camp, how to get to your wild camp, the wild camp, and then coming back to your starting point, and then leaving on a successful trip and headed back home, right? Section 4 is all about mapping and land navigation. And I've thrown in some stuff in there on first aid, gear recommendations and checklists, National Forest info and ethics, and you have some blank note pages that you can jot stuff down. So this is designed, if you want to just like fold this up into 4 like square and put it in your back pocket, it's stapled. You can do it that way. You can roll it up and put a rubber band on it, find a place to carry it out in the woods. So this is the meat and potatoes of the Wild Camp Service Report. Let me go ahead and zoom in here so we can see some of the information that we actually have here. So what's really cool is I have tried to come up with a method that will give you as much information about that local site that you're going to be in as you could possibly need. So of course we have the general location of where you're going to be, the wild camp location, which is a lat-long link. A clickable latitude and longitude link will be right here for you to copy and paste into any mobile mapping navigation app. You have the trip length distance from your home address to the parking spot, the hosting lands, which primarily is going to be national forest land here in the South that provides fee-less wild camping or dispersed camping on. So you'll have that forest, and sometimes many of the larger forests, say for instance in Mississippi, I think there's 5 or 6 national forests. They have ranger districts. So the home Wichita just has 1. So here's the address and phone number if you wanted to call them and get information about anything. You also have the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, their address and a phone number if you want to call to find out about hunting and what's legal and what's not in your area. I'll also let you know what hunting seasons are going on when you plan to go or when you order this report, to let you know, hey, it's only bow season, or hey, it's rifle season. Safety orange is mandatory. I also let you know where the nearest hospital or medical facilities are at, the address and phone number to that. The local police, usually it's always 911, but some of these smaller rural towns will actually have a phone number that you can call, which is very good information to have. The nearest grocery, if you forget something while you're going up there, or you just want to stop real quick and load up there instead of, like, let's say home, you could use that information. I always put the nearest hotel. I had a bad experience once where it was horrible weather and hot, and I left at midnight, walked out of the woods, and went and tried to find the nearest hotel. I just had to get out of there. Just had a bad experience. It was not good. So having that information is great, right? Excuse me. I talked about the importance of proper transportation and the keeping up the maintenance in your vehicle. That is going to save your life as a wild camper. You need that to get in and get out. It seems like it's common sense, but having your vehicle in a ready-to-go state for a long travel trip is paramount. You don't want to deal with either flat tires or some sort of alternator issue, you break down, anything like that. Or you go to start up when you're leaving on a Sunday and it's not starting. Then what do? You got no cell service. You're in the middle of national forest, no cell service, and your car's not starting. Then what? Do you know what to do then? Check it out. So we have the nearest tow truck rental, address, phone number. And out in the rural areas, these people stay on call. Their business is their home. They'll answer the phone. Nearest auto mechanic. You need somebody to work on it there. You're 4 or 5 hours or more away, like on a long trip, then we'll find that nearest spot. You have just a basic weather overview. You have a detailed weather overview. This all comes from the National Weather Service, planned out for the days that you are going to go wild camping, right? You have a cell service coverage map. So whether you have T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, US Cellular, and I think there's 1 or 2 more that I have with this mapping stuff, it will give you an overlay so you can see this point here. This is the wild camp location, mock-up wild camp location that I've made for this visual aid here to show y'all. I still have some refining to do, right? So actually, it's like right on the edge, right? So if you didn't have cell service at the wild camp spot, you could probably hike straight east 100, 200, 300, 400 yards, which my guess is you're going up in elevation on the topography of the land, and therefore you're getting, the light blue is LTE 4G voice and text, and then the blue is data. So just knowing that, I mean, if you didn't know this and you were at your wild camp location and you had no service, you'd spend the entire time there just saying, oh, I got no service. What if something happens or I can't get out? But, you know, if you hiked maybe 100 to 200, 300 yards away east, you'd probably start getting your text and voice back. That's vital information I'd like to know if I'm out there in the woods. And then this little square is just a general zoomed out scale of where at in the recreational land that you're going to be in. So we're in kind of the mid east central portion of the Homachita National Forest. We have a general overview of what the actual wild camp location looks like. North arrow, you got your parking spot here. There's a green Forest Service gate here. There is a designated yellow trail here. The pink dotted line was where I hiked in and recorded my track, okay, using a mobile nav application. The X is your starting point. The brown tent waypoint is your wild camp location with access to a creek and water source right here. This is the slope from starting point to wild camp. Notice how we're up on a ridge here. That's right here. We're walking this ridge right here. And then as we go down, we're going down into the bottoms. And you can see your wild camp location is down here, kind of on a mid-level bottom. This right here is the coup de grace right here. This is the majority of the work. So you get a parking spot with that lat long location that you can copy and paste into your search function of your mobile navigation application or your GPS. You can manually type in the lat long. This is a starting point lat long. Then you have the starting point bearing to wild camp. So I will give you your azimuth and bearing to that start point, from start point to wild camp location. You get a starting point to wild camp distance. So you're going to have some sort of idea that starting out 282 feet to 341 feet, I will have made it to the wild camp location. Why isn't it exact? Because everyone's pace or walk or hike is different. If you're flat, you can generalize it, but you're going up and down, up and down. When you generally go up a slope or down a slope, you're taking shorter steps, right, to keep your balance. If you're going up, you might have a longer stride, try to pick yourself up. And then when it evens out, when the relief and the elevation, then you start to get back on that normal walk. But even through the woods with the understory and leaf litter, you're not getting that uniform, steady walking, hiking pace that you would on pavement or a compacted dirt road or rock road, okay? So that's why I give a range of about how much distance it might be based on anyone, right? Plus, you might be 5'2" female versus a 6'2" male. That's going to be different too. And then you'll have your wild camp point lat long. So folks, generally, I am giving you this information to go out. The Tier 1 report is based off the 7 criteria that I use to find these locations. So that's what I do first. I scout online, and then I'll pick 3 to 4 different spots, and during the summer, I'll go visit all these spots and see if they're worthwhile. And 4 out of 5 wild camp spots that I digitally scout online based off of forestry and cruising principles and GIS and geospatial science work that I do day to day, 4 out of 5 of those spots have been excellent, good, or adequate, okay? You're always going to have 1 or 2 that It might lead you to the end of a dead-end rock road where there is junk and garbage and like stray animals and things that have been shot to hell with bullet casings. All that's not really a good place to park your car. That's a place where people go to do things they shouldn't be doing, right? So I'd have to mark that off my list. I'm thinking about putting a backup spot on here just for those sorts of things. But I've been frequenting the home at Chitter for about as long as I've been in forestry and geospatial work, for about 20 years. So I really enjoy that place, know it pretty well, in order to be confident that what I'm going to give you is going to be worth your while. Okay. So with that said, let's go ahead and zoom back out. So that's pretty cool. Okay. And then it keeps going. These little squares and stuff we have over are pertinent information per the report, customized to the person that I'm making it for. So plus I don't want to give away all my spots yet, right? So again, this is just the destination overview of where the wild camp is. Here's your driving directions from your home address that you give all the way to close to your parking spot or exactly to your parking spot. Okay. If it doesn't get you exactly to your parking spot, I have notes and visuals to get you as far as Google Maps will get you, and then the information needed from that spot to the parking area you need to be, I'll have that information in there as well. Now here is the section, the coup de grace of the wild camp location area. So again, we have a zoomed in view of it. You have information here, the lat long link, particular notes that you need to follow. So this will have the actual wild camp site. I've numbered them through the history and things that I've gathered in my wild camp site database that I keep, right? Again, so literally this is 26 pages, but you could take this one page right here and fold that up in your shirt pocket or your back pocket, and that's all you need. You just have to worry about it not getting wet. So this is more detailed information than what was on that overview first page. This is the instructions that I use. I designated this and called this DON, Digital Outdoor Navigation, right? So this is a how-to method right here to use the lat long information that I've given you with your mapping navigation application of choice. Plus I give you what I recommend and how to get there. This is just some basic notes about the area. So I'll give you things like, we have to know this. The GPS devices in your mobile phone, they aren't survey grade, okay? You have anywhere from 15 and sometimes up to 30 feet of error. Sometimes it's really spot on, and sometimes it could be 30 feet or more. Generally, it's between 15 and 25 feet when it comes to accuracy, right? I kind of give you some information on the area, the actual wild camp area of interest. General area is mixed mature upland, hardwood, and pine. A few little rules: you never camp on designated hiking trails. Try to stay at least 70 to 100 feet away from creeks or lakes. I kind of described the understory in the spring and the summer as opposed to leaf off in winter. I'll let you know where the water source is. The contour elevation is roughly 50 to 65 foot and change. So that means it's hilly, it's up and down, moderately hilly, flat, strenuous, blah, blah, blah. I kind of give you an idea of how many people could fit with like a 1 to 2 man tent in that area, right? There's some places where, you know, you could fit a dozen or so. This one happens to be a spot that I know about that is on the downward slope of a finger ridge. So you could probably fit about 5 tents right there. And then there's some additional information that you will receive through there. If you see red boundary lines on any map from a wild camp service report, that is private property. Stay out, right? And then this is really cool. This is an introduction to your compass and how to read it, how to know what everything on it is. It's like one of the shortest, most to the point, accurate, easy, common sense bit of introduction to compass that I found. Either it's a freaking book or article, or it's just a graphic, but this was really good. I really enjoyed this. I did a lot of hunting to find this. I've had this a long time. This is an introduction to compass continued from that page, so it's 2 pages. This is really cool. We talk about learning your pace for learning your distance, all by yourself using ranger beads, okay? So essentially, and we will eventually get to this on the CampTara channel, how to not use a GPS or your mobile device with mapping application and using a compass and your azimuths and bearings, your pace count for how much distance you've covered to get to some of these places, right? It's going to be fun, but we definitely got to wait till it gets cooler. And this is just some common sense stuff I put in here. First aid, CPR, applying a tourniquet. Some of the most widespread issues with people who wild camp are actually they slice themselves, they cut themselves, they're using an axe, they don't know really how they should be cutting down. It's not that they don't know how to cut down a log, but let's say you get a log on the ground that's manageable to cut. The way you should try to cut at that is not standing alongside it with both feet on one side and chopping down. You should straddle the log and chop from side to side. In order, you will become fatigued if you are not in shape. And hey, I admit it, I am not in shape. If you become fatigued and you're doing it the way where you're standing on one side of the log and chopping down, and you miss and really hurt, that axe hits your ankle, you're in trouble. You will need a tourniquet and learn how to use it, okay? That's one of the biggest things. Stop bleeding and cuts. So this is a first aid checklist, right? So if you want to order a decent one, don't skimp and just buy a Walmart one. Anything is better than nothing, so that's cool. But this is like a checklist of things maybe you didn't think about that you would like to have, right? So you can use this. This is my Amazon links page that cover the 5 C's, which are cover, a combustion device, a containers, your cutting tool, and your cordage. All blue links in this, all blue text in the CampTara Wild Camp Report are clickable links, okay? So you can click here. Most of this gear here is either stuff I have or have used. This is stuff I've spent quite a while researching because I don't have $300 to $500 for like this super warm sleeping bag. I'm not going to spend $500 to $1,000 on one of these backpacks. I'm not going to spend $600 to $1,000 on a tent. But I don't want some crap from overseas or Alibaba or something cheap that's not going to last. I agree in my like tier and what I can afford. I like the buy once, cry once, okay? But not like cry real hard. It's kind of like a tier. Ugh. So it's like most of the stuff in here is going to be under $250 that you see, and it's good gear. It'll last you. It's really decent gear. Like the first one on here, the Kelty Red Wing, that's what I'm using right here. This tarp right here, the Free Soldier tarp, I'm using that. This sleeping bag I'm using. This stove I'm using. Stanley, the pot, the coffee, the cup. So these are things I know that work. And down here, I'll put this link up later, maybe in the Facebook group if I can remember. One of the best little tips is that when I do outdoor navigation with my mobile device and my mapping app, right? I plug into a small rectangular battery bank, a USB powered battery bank, and I put that on the back of my phone. And this little thing right here stretches around the battery pack and the phone and keeps it held together. It's silicone and it's like stretchy. It works awesome. This one right here, let me see if I can zoom in. Yeah. These are little chargers that are designed to plug in the bottom of your phone and stay clicked in and connected to the bottom to be unobtrusive. Look, one of the best, ingenious this thing is. That way, you don't have a lot of juice for all day. And when you're using that GPS and you're leaving your screen on and you have to see where you're navigating, you're going to use some juice up. So usually when I navigate and have those apps going, I'm plugged into power. And then when I get to camp, I'll either turn my phone off to conserve power and unplug this. And then if I'm in an area that I have cell coverage, I can enjoy some tunes later that night without my phone running out, right? So that's some of my Amazon links. Let me know in the comments if y'all are interested in wanting a link to that. This is just a basic backpacking checklist that you can have out with you to check off all the things that you need to put in your backpack to be ready to go, right? This is some rules and regulations that, depending on what recreational land you're wild camping on, I will scour the U.S. Forest Service website. And if I can't find it, I will call people and agitate them, because I do it now to get the answers that I need. There's some district rangers that, when I call, they kind of know it's Scott. So it's kind of funny. So you'll have some good information and feel positive and safe that what you're doing and where you're at is okay to be doing what you're doing. Okay? And then again, I even give you the supervisor's address and phone number. Not only the ranger district, which that might be closed on Sunday, but if you call this supervisor number, there's someone on call there. Ask me how I know. Leave no trace principles, very important. When you show up to that wild camp spot It's just going to look like the woods. When you leave and you take like the first 20 steps, turn around and look at your spot. It should look the same way it did when you arrived. Everything comes back out. Trash, poop, everything. And then just some basic note pages, right? And just a final back page with where you can get in touch with me. So after that long-winded presentation there, do I even have anybody still in the comments? Oh my God, we have 3. So a lot of people left. You're buffering. That's great. Is anyone still there? I would have to buffer. Anyway, is there any questions? If I was buffering really bad, I think I'm just going to do another video and shit can the live stream on this. At least it'll be with a planned out video, it'll be a little bit better. Is anybody still there? It says we have 3, but I don't know. It's almost 10 o'clock. It's almost been an hour. I appreciate the few people that have been here. Thank you so much. If you have any questions regarding the Wild Camp Services report, excuse me, friends. I am, let's see what I want. Oh, if you'd like to know more about the Wild Camp Service report by CampTara and you want one, go check out campterra.us/services page. And much of what I just stated here is there. You can read more about it. You can order one there. I've had a few people sign up to be beta testers. What does that mean? Well, I will start off sending these reports for free to a few folks. One at least 4. I have 3 now. So at 4, I'm going to cut that off. And then hopefully when they decide to go out and do their trip, we can get, I will collaborate with them and talk to them, see how the report did for them, what they liked about it, what needs to be worked on. Did they find it really valuable? What did their significant others and support groups say when you emailed them this and said, hey, here's a plan if I don't come back, what they thought of it maybe. So that's basically it, friends. I appreciate you guys being here. So once again, this is Scott Owens with CampTara and the Lumis Wild Camp Alliance. Wishing y'all a good weekend. Also, I am off Saturday to go scout and recon some wild camp locations and do a video on how to put this Wild Camp Services report to use in the field. So how you'll do what I just explained in the field using the report. So I think that'll be a good video. It won't be live. It won't be me blabbing, right? So it ought to be a bit better. So thanks for tuning in. Leave me a comment. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, please. Leave me some comments or share this with a friend you think might enjoy this or might be interested in this. And until next time, take care.